Since last July, almost 11 months, the bipartisan January 6th committee has been investigating the insurrection. They have received over 136,000 documents, conducted over 1,000 depositions and interviews, including most recently with Donald Trump's lawyer and major big lie proponent seen earlier in the show, Rudy Giuliani. He reportedly met with the committee for 9 hours on Friday. But now, as the committee is moving into a new phase of the investigation, the long-awaited public hearings where we learn about all they have uncovered. The Guardian got its hands on a draft hearing schedule, which shows 6 hearings scheduled for the month of June, with only 2 during primetime hours. Congressman Jamie Raskin is a Democrat from Maryland. He serves on the January 6th committee and was the lead impeachment manager in the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump for inciting the insurrection. And he joins me now. Congressman Raskin, my sense is that you can't comment on this sort of stuff, but I'll ask you anyway. Is the leaked schedule correct?
Hey, Chris. Well, I'll just say in general, a lot of the leaked reporting, although not all of it, has been correct. We're very eager to get going with these hearings. You should know that the hearings are going to be about the events of January 6th and the causes thereof, but the whole question of recommendations for policy changes to fortify ourselves and our institutions against future attacks will come later. So I think there will be the opportunity for us to have hearings on other aspects of our charge under House Resolution 503 after this cluster of hearings.
I saw the news about Rudy Giuliani, and again, I don't know what you can or can't confirm, but it is striking to me in some ways when, as we near the end of this, the number of people close to the president that did end up cooperating with either invitations or subpoenas from the committee.
Well, everybody's got a legal duty and a civic duty to be there, and we have made ourselves perfectly clear that we will hold people in contempt and try to get contempt prosecutions brought against them for violating their legal obligations here. Rudy Giuliani, I should tell you, it's not much news, but he is. He's no Michael Tiger. He's no Bruce Cutler, as mob lawyers go. But he definitely has a lot of information about what was taking place during those days. And, I'm hopeful that he's going to tell or telling us everything that he knows.
The only thing in the world, basically, that I'm genuinely an expert on is basically primetime political news programming. So I have an interest in the hearings in a sort of professional capacity, obviously. But I do wonder, how you are thinking about them. Because people will talk about the Watergate hearings. And the thing I always say in response is, look, back during the Watergate hearings, there's 50 million people watching The Tonight Show every night. It was just a different universe. That's true, I think, even the Benghazi hearings, 5 or 6 years ago. It's a different universe right now in terms of how central to the attention one can make a thing. How are you on the committee thinking about that? What do you think is the goal of the public part of the hearing?
Well, I'm with you on that. I think there's something even kind of quaint about the phrase prime time, because those electrifying moments of television exchanges between legislators and witnesses, or moments of real epiphany and conceptual breakthrough or moral breakthrough, those will get replayed all over the internet, all over all of the channels and so on. So it's not as if you need to be watching every moment in order to see everything that's going to happen. It's also the case that we can put out more material even than we're going to produce for the hearings themselves and make it available to people. And those people who are real students of insurrection and coups in 21st century America can study all of it. The thing about primetime that you could perhaps explain to me, Chris, is how networks decide when they're willing to give up their regularly scheduled programming and when they're not. And I assume that that's been part of the negotiation between our communications people and the networks.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. What do you imagine in your head a set of people who are persuadable about the gravity of this, who who are as yet to be persuaded, but can be persuaded by the public portion of these hearings?
Absolutely. And the reason I know that is because I have heard, certainly from hundreds and perhaps thousands of people who wrote to me after the second impeachment trial to say they were either independents or they were Republicans or they were teachers, they were professors. They were really watching to see what was happening, and they found that the evidence of Donald Trump's guilt was overwhelming, that we had refuted any and all of the frivolous legal and factual arguments that had been attempted by Trump's lawyers. And so I know there were tons of people who were in movement then, and I think there are even many more people in movement now as we see, what was an insurrection and attempted coup that took place in January of last year continues to be an attempt to delegitimize our constitutional order in our elections. And there are people like the Republican nominee for governor in Pennsylvania today who participated in these events. I think that Mastriano rented 3 buses to take people down to Washington for the Stop the Steal events. Who are now being promoted up the ranks of the GOP. So the situation is far more dire than it even was then, as Donald Trump has continued to double down on the big lies and the polemics and the disinformation, and his party continues to go with them and to roll with these deranged theories.